Okay, hi. It's the second last day of January, and it's starting to get annoying for it to be so cold for some of us. So we need more indoor things to do. I am getting over some sort of illness, influenza or something, and I've been sick for almost 2 weeks and inside, and that sucks. So we're trying to think of things to do that aren't watching television. And this is one I keep seeing on Instagram, people making chia sprouts or chia microgreens from just your plain old chia. So I thought, okay, well, let's try that. And then I also thought, well, I've got other things. Let's see if they'll sprout too. Microgreens are really good. This is wheat berries, and this is just beans, just kidney beans that I might put in my chili. And so then I'm gonna just see if they sprout. So what we need in order to start anything from sprouting to sprout is moisture and a vessel. So I usually just keep these around. My kids eat a lot of fruit out of these kinds of things. I also have this little mini greenhouse. But when we collect this kind of thing, it's ideal if it has holes in the bottom so that we're not holding water inside and we don't have to monitor the water inside as much. And then I just have it on a plate. So I'm gonna get some paper towel, or I'm going to get my assistant to get some paper towel, and we'll start with the chia seeds because that's the thing that I saw first and I want to try it. So I've got some paper towel here. You could use paper towel. I have other things. I have hemp mats that sometimes I use, and I just fold this in here so that it fits perfectly into what I've got and set it into the bottom. There we go. Then I set it on here. I'm pour the water to dampen the cloth or the paper towel. I want to make sure that that chia stays moist, because you can't sprout if you're not moist. Okay, and then I'm just gonna shake these guys on here. Please take note, I don't know what I'm doing, but I have created or grown lots of microgreens in my day. So I just haven't done chia. This chia though, when it gets wet, we know that it's probably going to get kind of gloopy, but that's probably a good thing. So now I've just made it so that they're pretty close together. And I want to, the key thing here is to make sure that it stays wet. So that's me every day, maybe twice a day, depending on where I put it. It doesn't have to be in the sun. Every day, twice a day, perhaps I'm going to just check for moisture, just to get used to what kind of conditions I've got, and then how quickly it's going to dry out. But I don't want it to dry out. I never want my seeds that are sprouting to dry out, which is why I'm going to cover that up. The covering is perfect because then it'll create a little greenhouse, but it'll also keep the moisture in. So there we go. That's my chia. I might spread a little bit. If you have a spritzer, could I have a helper go get the spritzer, that green bottle? And I'll show you that, but you can get those at the dollar store. But I might even just take this and just spritz a little bit with my fingers, just so that it's moist on the bottom, moist on the top. Spray bottle beside my little chia greenhouse. And when it's time to spray, I'll spray. Okay, another thing I'm going to do, I'm going to use this. I don't have, in this one, I don't have holes in the bottom, but it does have ridges. So with my big, I know I just said make sure you have holes in the bottom, but I don't have anything that has holes in the bottom, so I'm just going to use this. And that's perfect. And now I'm going to moisten it with my water bottle. But when I do water it, I want to make sure that it doesn't, we're not drowning in water. That's it. Okay, so half of this is going to be kidney beans. I don't need too many. This is not a grand experiment. If it fails, then it's a lot of waste. So I'm gonna put my kidney beans in here. I'm gonna put them close. Obviously the half guys are not going to sprout. And I don't know if these are gonna sprout. We'll call it, will it sprout? These kidney beans, I don't even know where they came from. So if they were, sometimes we get beans from a local bean farmer who probably wouldn't heat treat them. But if these came from over the border or somewhere, then perhaps they would treat them in some way, irradiate or something like that. And so then we wouldn't know if they have been sterilized. And then I'm going to do some wheat berries. And again, I'm just going to spread these along the bottom. And then that's cute, like that, right? So again, ideal if I have holes in the bottom, but I don't. So let's just do this. Now with these big old kidney beans, I want to keep them nice and moist. And so actually what I'm going to do until they start sprouting, and that means I have to check them, but then I'm going to keep them moist on top. Well, I'm just going to do that, and I'm going to do what I just did here, but not too much because I don't want them standing in a pool of water. I just want them moist on the top and moist on the bottom. And wow, am I going to do a great job at keeping them moist on the bottom and the top when I have this. Oh my gosh. I might just leave this open a little bit so that some air can get out. And then we wait. This does not have to be in the sun because seeds don't need sun in order to germinate, do they? No, they need dark. Right, and then as soon as they start germinating, because we're going to be checking on them every day, we'll definitely notice when they start germinating, and then we'll get them into the light. Okay, let's wait. Okay, it occurs to me that some people maybe aren't really familiar with how this is a bean. And so this kidney bean comes from, I've opened my seed catalog here to pole beans, so beans that grow up a pole actually, and just to show you what beans look like when they're growing on the vine. So this is a bean. Inside you've got seeds. So usually we eat green beans and yellow beans when they're nice and tender like this. The seed is pretty small inside. You can see over here, that's a teeny tiny seed that is just very underdeveloped. But if you let that ripen and go, and so if we don't eat the pod, if we don't eat that bean when it's nice and fresh, if we let it go and let it get bigger and bigger and bigger, some beans, they'll start looking like this, quite swollen. And the bean, that little tiny seed in there, will develop and become hard. And the pod on the outside will dry out. And then that's our seed, and that's what we can use to plant next year to get that same plant. So depending on what kind of bean that's come from, these are kidney beans. So none of these are kidney beans in my catalog, but I just wanted to use that so that you can kind of see what they look like. But the seed grows inside that pod. Here is, I think you can see here, these are scarlet runner beans, I think. And there are beautiful flowers. So the flower comes first on that plant, and then the flower develops if it's pollinated, and it'll develop into a bean and then push off and get quite big. So there you go. Hello, this is I think it's day 5. I haven't even been keeping track, but I've got my wheatgrass. I've got look at this. This is the chia. Remember chia pets? That's why they made chia. They use chia for chia pets, because it feels like a hair on top. Okay, so I've got these guys on day 5. I threw those beans out because they smelled so bad, and they were not sprouting. So I don't know why. They were maybe heat treated and they weren't going to sprout. I have purchased some pea microgreens. Look at this. This was obviously grown in a tray, and these are all the roots. They were grown on a mat originally, but the roots have really created this beautiful, my goodness, mat itself. There's the mat it was grown on. And then these are the peas, the microgreen peas. We've trimmed it down once, but you can see these little tiny leaves here are starting again, and it will come back again a few times. So we're gonna just keep this under the light. We're gonna keep it in this tray, and we're gonna keep it wet, and it'll keep going. But I've also added some new fresh peas here onto this. This is a hemp mat, and I've soaked that mat, and I've soaked those peas. I'm gonna keep them really nice and wet. And here's, you can buy microgreen seeds. There's all different kinds you can buy, usually at a health food store, or online, and so those are peas, but you could get, here's a mix, microgreen mix, which is crimson clover, broccoli rab, and purple kohlrabi. So those are very tiny. You have to be a little bit more mindful, give them a lot more air than the peas. The peas are definitely the easiest. And then I also have some sunflower sprouting seeds. So this would be for sprouts, but I would use them for microgreens, and you can see actually they're cut. And then it says 7 days here, ready to eat, 10 to 12 hours soaked. And then after 7 days, they're ready to eat, which is pretty awesome. And so another time I might use those. There's all different kinds that you can find and experiment with. Like I said last time, you don't need to have this hemp mat. You can just use paper towel, which is what I've done here. And then you really want to make sure that you have that, the container has the holes below. I have a little tray that I can put underneath here. And so I've got the wheatgrass, which is pretty tall, and then my chia. Both of those, I'm just gonna let them keep growing, and you can help me keep an eye on them. And yeah, those beans did not work, and I might try them again with a sprouting or a microgreen bean. But the peas are my favorite. Okay, here we are 1 day later, and look at this. The chia is really thick, and it's getting taller. I'm not going to do it yet, but talk about using our senses. Just touching this, if I close my eyes and imagine that it's in the middle of the summer, this could be moss, this could be all kinds of things growing, grass. If I go down here and give it a sniff, see what it smells like. It smells fresh. Okay, and here's my wheatgrass. It's getting a lot taller, and I'm still not gonna quite cut it. Maybe tomorrow I'll cut that one. And then I had these peas that I planted yesterday, and I moved them I have a new clamshell that someone's finished. I can't get it open, but I have these on my mat, and they're just soaking. So you can see how some of them maybe haven't taken up as much water. They're still wrinkly, while others have really soaked in the water and are quite swollen up with the water. So they're getting there, and I keep adding water. You can see when I push on that there's water there. And as the roots grow, then they'll go in there and need that water. But I give it a little rinse. There's no holes in the bottom of this, and that's not my preference, as I've said. And then here are our sprouts getting their little tiny guys. So that's the next day. And I will just say that this is an opportunity. Growing anything and checking on it every day is a real opportunity to have a little mindful moment, have a little moment where we're using our senses. So we're touching, we're feeling, we're checking for texture, for moisture level, we're smelling, we're doing all the things. And that's just bringing us into the present moment and connecting us with that natural world where we feel safe, and that stress level is really going to go down if we do that and make that a nice habit for the winter. Here we go. This is about a week later after we did our first trimming of these peas. There's some just sprouting new set of peas, a few days old. Here's our wheatgrass, and there's the chia. So exciting. So we're gonna give a trim and then taste them. Okay, here we are. It is day 10. We have planted our wheat seed, our chia, our peas, and day 10 for the chia and the wheat, and they're ready to harvest. They could have been harvested maybe yesterday or even the day before, but I have them here now. And then I have these peas sprouts or pea greens that we cut last Saturday. So today is Sunday, so it's been 8 days. We cut them and they've come again, and now we're going to keep cutting them. So that is that. And then I can't remember the day that we sprouted these, but here they are. It's kind of exciting. So I'm going to harvest here. So the first thing I'm going to do is the chia. Let's take the chia. Oops, I'm dripping. And I'm going to just at the edge, just like I would any kind of greens, I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to snip them down and just going to make a little strip. And when I cut these, I've never harvested these, grown them or harvested them before. When I cut them, they won't come back. But I'm going to just take a little bit, and then I'm going to try them. Oh my goodness. Don't forget to use all your senses when you're trying them. Kind of bitter, so I'd probably put a dressing on them, or you could just set them on top, put them on top of something. And then with the wheatgrass, which is here, here's my wheatgrass, same thing. I'm just gonna cut, but I'll cut a little bit lower here. So this one does not taste very good. You add this one to your smoothie or chop it up really small and put it in your salad, but just for fun. It tastes like I'm eating grass. It's kind of a novelty if you have children who would like to feel like they're eating grass. And then here are my peas, and these are the best. We just keep the scissors right beside these, and then I have one of my kids that loves them so much. Just every time she walks by, she just snips them and takes a mouthful. They're packed with micronutrients in a small amount, way more concentrated than in the larger plant. So that's the advantage of having these microgreens, especially at this time of year when we don't have a lot of stuff coming into the home that's really fresh and it really is packed with those micronutrients. We can grow them ourselves for pretty cheap. Okay, so please do try this at home. All you need is these clamshells and the paper towel, and then seeds, whatever seeds you find. I usually get the pea seeds, which is the tastiest, at the health food store locally. And the wheat seeds I got in bulk, and the chia, you can buy that anywhere and in bulk. I think I got these from Costco. So I usually put just the chia in my yogurt, but just for fun, we're spreading these. And you don't have to eat them either. You can just grow them for fun. Make a chia pet. Okay, thanks.